for you to have, multiple resources for you to have at your disposal. All right, so I like to give a visual to give you an idea how the hiring process starts from start to finish. When I say recruiting and hiring process, I mean from when your department says, hey, we need to fill a position, we need to hire somebody. So the first thing that starts the hiring process is your department completes a vacancy request form. And I am going to go into that in detail. Many of you have been using that. I'm going to go over some of the pitfalls, what might happen and why, make sure that you do it correctly. So we're going to spend time on that. So that where that star is where your department needs to take action. Otherwise, HR does not know that you want a job to be posted. The vacancy request form is very important because Carolyn uses that information to create the job posting that appears in RecruitFront. She also creates the tracker. From within the tracker, you'll have the ability to see all the people that applied via RecruitFront. What has changed since our last trainings is that we heard feedback that there are people, valuable people applying through OLAS. So what's going to happen is that Carolyn is going to compile people's applications that are applying via OLAS for the same position. And she's going to send the hiring administrator an email with all of the applications from OLAS. Okay, so can everybody mute their, I'm getting a little feedback from a walkie-talkie. Thank you. So what will happen is that you'll be able to review the OLAS applications. If you want, all right, let me mute.
I'm trying to, I don't know what happened.
All right. Mute all. Okay. Okay, better? Can you hear me? Good? Can you hear me? Okay. So what will happen is the application will be sent to you. And if you like a particular person, you will respond back with an email within the tracker for Carolyn to send that person information to apply via RecruitFront. Okay, we'll go into that in detail. I have slides on that, so don't worry. So the two items that you need to know for your department is the vacancy request, and then you'll receive an email. You do the vacancy request, then you're going to wait, get the tracker, and then you'll receive, if anybody applies through OLAS, you'll receive an email with applications from OLAS. If you like a particular person and you want to hire that person, you email via the tracker, Carolyn, and she'll send the applicant information on how to apply via RecruitFront. Then I'm going to show you how to hire a person via the tracker. Hiring the person will actually send them the forms. Then the beauty of this is that in the past, you probably asked yourself, has the background check cleared? Can I do the appointment notice? But this is going to be done automatically. Once you hit the hire button, that will trigger HR to run a background check. When they run the background check, once the background check has cleared, once it's cleared, you'll be sent an automatic email that says, hey, Jennifer Lean's background check has cleared. Expect an appointment notice to be in the hiring administrator and the clerical who is going to fill out, or the support staff who's going to fill out that appointment notice. And we'll get into that. And then basically it's the department is done at that point, because once you have done the appointment notice, then it's HR going to be waiting for all of the forms to be filled out and approved by the different people in HR and payroll at that point. So I think the visual is a good way to show you that you start the process off by requesting a vacancy request. You're going to have some role in the tracker, which will list all the people that apply via RecruitFront. You're going to hit the hire button when you're ready to hire somebody. And what that does, you're not officially hiring the person. In Eastern Suffolk BOCES, the hire button is really a pre-hire button. And on all the documentation that goes out to the candidate, it says, this is a pre-hire process. This is all depending upon your background and fingerprint check. So don't get nervous. People say, Jennifer, you're having me hire the person. I don't want to hire. It's not, that's just a terminology that your Eastern Suffolk BOCES is using our hire as a pre-hire. And when that employee when that candidate gets the information, it will say, Eastern Suffolk BOCES is interested in you to go proceed with a pre-hiring process and fill out this information. They'll have to fill out a background check form that then goes to HR. Okay. Once the background check is cleared, the department, the hiring administrator, will get an email saying that the background check is cleared, and the appointment notice will automatically be in your items requiring your attention for you as the hiring admin to do and your support staff. And I'll show you where that ties in. So those are the 4 sections, and we're going to cover them, and this PowerPoint covers them in detail throughout. Okay. Vacancy request. All right, so basically you're starting the process. So when you log in under Human Resources Active Employee, you should see your name, but you should see anybody that you should be submitting forms for. So if I was a support staff, and in this example, I'm a support staff for ESS, I see that I have Heather as my administrator, and Vanessa as my administrator. So if I am doing a vacancy request for my hiring administrator, who is Heather, I am going to click on her name, that little checkbox. Now, where we had some problems in the past is some people saw their name and they were clicking their name. No, as a support staff, you're filling out a vacancy request for your hiring administrator. You do not select your name. You select your hiring administrator's name. You do not select your name and the hiring administrator's name, because then we'll get 2 forms. So when you go in to Human Resources Active Employee, you're going to select the hiring administrator that you are doing the vacancy request for. Okay. Now, what happens in BOCES is there's a lot of movement, right? People change. If you do not see if we hired somebody, a new administrator in your department, and you go to Human Resources and you go to Active Employee and you don't see the administrator that you're filling out the form for, you need to contact Carolyn in HR. She will make sure that you will be given access to your administrator so you can submit forms on their behalf and initiate forms on their behalf. Okay. So once you do that, what's going to happen is you're going to go to something called recruitment, and I'm going to go live into my site in a minute. There are 4 vacancy request forms. The ones that are the majority of what all the departments except a few are going to use are certificated or civil service. So let me go into my site. Okay, so I'm going to go into my active employees. Now, notice I'm in as an administrator. You will only have a certain amount of people that you have access to. I'm going to click, pretend this is my administrator. All right, I only select my administrator's name. I go to Action, Process, and I will see a category, a form category. You're going to scroll down to Recruitment. And there you will see that there are 4 vacancy request forms. It's very important that you select the correct vacancy request form. This one, HR, WIX, EAP, they should only be using this. So these 3 departments are going to be using these forms for certificated and civil service. Everybody else, if you're not HR, if you're not WIX, if you're not EAP, you're using the certificated or the civil service. All right. The reason why we have that is because there is a different approval process on those forms. All right. So for the majority of the people on this phone call today, you'll be either choosing vacancy request certificated or vacancy request form civil service. All right. Now, this form is exactly the form that was on paper, except we added recently, we added 3 fields that we made required. The 3 fields are clerical completing future appointment notice, office department, and budget code. And I'll tell you the reasons why we added those. The first is we heard in the past that it would be great once the background check was cleared that the hiring administrator, as well as the person filling out the vacancy notice, knew that the background check cleared. But also what would be great if automatically when that background check cleared, that the appointment notice would appear for that person, that clerical or support person, to fill out in the future. Well, the system doesn't know who that's going to be for each department, right? So that's why on the vacancy request form, we're asking you to put in who is going to fill out the appointment notice for this particular position, job posting. So when the background check clears and we hire somebody, who should be getting the appointment notice? It knows the hiring admin because it's going to be on the form, and you selected the hiring admin when we clicked on the form. So the system knows the hiring administrator to send it to that person, but it doesn't know which support staff to send the appointment notice to. So if you put in that person's name here, we'll know who to send the appointment notice to. We also are requiring office/department and budget code. The reason why we're doing that is we're going to make it easier for HR to actually figure out who to charge the background check to. So this will allow us to run a nice report in HR, whose background check we ran, what budget should we charge it to, and what office. So this is important. These are 3 required fields that we added to the vacancy request form. And the reason why we did that is to streamline and help out the process. It helps out the process 2 ways. HR is able then to run a report to see, okay, I did 4 background checks for this budgetary code and this department. And it's going to help out the department because automatically you're going to be notified when a background check has cleared, and you're going to receive the clerical that's listed here will receive an email that says, hey, an appointment notice is ready for you to complete. And the hiring administrator is also going to get an email and the appointment notice. So either one could start that, and only the hiring administrator will sign off at level 1 to that appointment notice, and we'll get into that. All right, the others are your typical fields that you had on your vacancy request form on paper. In school front, if you see an asterisk, that means it's a required field. We do have a way to upload information if it's for multiple jobs. So there's a file upload. Some departments ask for that. Full, part-time, FTE, stipend. Is this a new position? Your program, salary, site building. These are not required, but I do have to say the more information that you provide Carolyn in the vacancy request, the better off the posting will be. She takes this information and she creates the posting. All right. So I would even know that you don't have this as required, the certification is required, but the responsibilities, I would put in responsibilities. It helps with the job posting. Start date, newspaper, deadlines. These are required. If you see the little asterisk, it will give you an error if you try to submit and you do not put that in. Then as the support staff doing this, you're going to create the form. Support staff never signs the form. Okay, and I'm just going to bring my PowerPoint back over. They never sign the form. You're only going to fill out the information for your hiring administrator. Okay. The thing that we have new here is that we're asking that we have the field that we have is clerical completing the future appointment notice, budget code, and the department. All right. So who approves? Who approves that vacancy request form? Well, if it's the support staff who is filling it out, support staff should never sign a vacancy request form. It's always the hiring administrator. Okay. The reason why we gave both levels is that we would like the support staff to fill out the vacancy request, and the recommending administrator will review it at level 1, and the recommending administrator will sign off on that form. Okay. Then it goes to, and who is the recommending administrator? It's the person that the clerical, the support staff, selected to initiate the form. All right. So whoever that person was selected in the first step, that's the person who should be signing that form. Then it goes to the director. All right. Now, if, for example, that at level 1, the clerical picked a director at level 1, and then the director is at level 2, that means that person's at level 1 and level 2, they can approve at level 2. And that happens sometimes in a department, somebody's doing a vacancy request for the actual director, and then it will go to the director for level 2. And those certain instances that may happen, that's okay. The director doesn't have to approve at level 1. They'll just approve it at level 2, the highest level. All right. Where this sometimes has an issue is when if the hiring administrator doesn't have their director as their supervisor, then we're going to have a problem. It's not going to know where it's going to go. So what happens sometimes if we hire a new administrator and we don't put the director under that administrator, the recommending administrator supervisor, then it's not going to know to go to the director. So we always want to make sure an administrator has their supervisor, which should be their director, in the system. Because that's going to make it go to the director. Now, you might say in the past, when you did paper, you might have had several levels of approvers in your department. It might have gone to, you might have started it off, then it went to another supervisor in your department, then it went to another supervisor, then it finally went to the director. What happened was, when we were developing this, we wanted to have consistency across all departments so that we could see where the forms are lying. And we streamlined the process for all departments. So basically, there's only 4 levels of approvers for all vacancy requests within BOCES. The first is the person, the hiring administrator. The second is the director. The third is the associate superintendent for educational services. This is for certificated. And then it goes to human resources. So what we did is we streamlined the process so that we know every department is following the same procedure, same levels. It's easier for us to find out where it is caught in the queue. Oh, somebody's out. Where is it? Okay, it's at level 3. Okay, I know who level 3 is. It's at level 2. I know which director. Okay, that's it. So it's easier for us to be proactive and be able to see if everybody's using the same approval process across all of BOCES. All right. I'll stop. You can unmute yourself if you have any questions on vacancy requests. Good. I think I just saw in chat, slow down. I'll slow down. I didn't realize I was going too fast, so I will definitely take that comment. All right, so everything that I covered is on this PowerPoint. It also is on that first slide. If you do not know how to do the vacancy request, I actually have a video that it walks you through actually doing it from start to finish. The video is right here. All right. So once again, vacancy request, you go in, you click on active employees. You should see your name and your administrators that you are going to initiate the form for. You never select your name if you're the support staff. You select your administrator's name. You only select once, because if you select your name and the administrators, you're going to generate 2 forms. You only select the hiring administrator's name. You go to select action, process forms. You go to the form category called recruitment, and you select what vacancy requests that you would like. There are 4, but the majority on this phone call are going to be using certificated and civil service. There are other forms there. There are 2 others. HR WIC EAP, HR WIC EAP only. So if you're not part of those 3 groups, you use the certificated and civil service.
Hey, Jen, I have a quick question for you.
Sure.
And my support staff probably knows this, but I just want to make sure. So I hire, industry folks like my ROTC.
Mm-hmm.
So do they go under certificated? Because they're not civil service.
Certificated. So they're not civil service certificate. Certificate, that would be an HR call.
Okay. I know
What
we've
if-
done it
what-
before, so like I said, my support staff probably already know, but I just want to make sure we're doing it right.
Yeah, I don't know if it's civil service. I think it would probably be certificated, but you would have, that's an internal question on
Okay.
your end. Okay.
I mean, I'm sure if we did it wrong the last time, Carolyn would have let us know, but we just might need an exception for moving forward.
All right.
All right, thanks so much.
No problem. All right, great. All right, so let me go to my other item. Okay, so this is new. This is, we were getting not that some of the applicants were on OLAS and we wanted to grab those applicants, right? We don't want to lose anybody, right? We want to get anybody in those positions because we need to get in, we need to hire. So what's going to happen is we're going to make it a little bit easier for the hiring administrator. You're going to get an email from HR, Carolyn. She's going to send you an email with everybody that applied for this position in OLAS, right? You're going to get an email that's going to look like this. Dear, and it's going to have your name. Please see the attached documents for OLAS applications from a tracker. That's going to be the name of the position. And it's also going to have the name of the job posting. So in an example like this, I'm going to use you, Danielle. It's going to say, Dear Danielle Hudak, please see the attached documents from OLAS applicants for the tracker for summer enrichment nurse, job posting summer enrichment nurse, or year-round or ROTC, whatever your job posting is. And then you'll click there and you'll get a nice PDF of all the applications that were in OLAS. You can review them. Now, what we're asking you to do is if you have somebody that you're very interested in, that within the tracker in Schoolfront, you email Carolyn that, hey, I want this person, and I'll show you how to access that email. And she will then notify that person who applied on OLAS to apply on RecruitFront. Now, you might say, well, we're having that person apply twice. Well, the reason why is that if you're really interested in that person, what's going to happen when they apply on RecruitFront, we're going to have them have the application, their resume, their cover letter, that's all going to be digital. Then we're going to send them onboarding forms. So the beauty of it is that it's going to, we'll be able to, if they have an application in RecruitFront, we can add them to the tracker and you'll be able to hire them. So this is new. What we were hearing is that we were missing some people from OLAS. You'll be able to look at all the OLAS applications. And then if you find somebody that you want to hire via the OLAS application, you'll go into the tracker in Schoolfront, and I'll show you this. You'll select Tracker Reviewer tab and Carolyn, and we have an email there that says, put the candidate's name and the email, and you send it. And then what Carolyn will do, and I'll go into this, don't worry, I'll actually go into the site to show this. Carolyn will then send that person that you notified her, that person will get an email that says, hey, we're pleased to inform you are selected as a candidate for an opportunity, register, and they'll get all of the information and videos on how to register. The reason why we are doing this is because once they are registered in RecruitFront, we can add them to the tracker. Once we add them into the tracker, you'll be able to hire them. Okay, so let me show you that via a tracker. So let me go in here for a minute. Okay, so if you're not familiar and you're starting new with Schoolfront, a tracker is a list of all the people that have applied on Recruit Front. Okay. It will be in your items requiring your attention. Carolyn sets up the tracker. Once she gets the vacancy request, she creates the job posting, and then she creates a tracker. Think of a tracker as a briefcase that's holding all of the people's information that applied for the job. So the tracker for a particular position, let's say we have a special ed position available. The tracker will hold all 20 candidates' information, their cover letter, their resume, their application. So you will see it under your house in your items requiring your attention section, and you'll select process. Now, what we're asking you to do, and this is my fake tracker, I'm going to click on it. You would see the tracker that you want to go into, and these would be the actual names. All right. But now I'm just going to click on this one, which is a test for training. So hopefully before this point, you would have received an email from Carolyn that says, hey, here's a PDF of applications from OLAS that are for this job posting. You can review them. If you find somebody that you're interested in and you want Carolyn to send them information so that they can apply through Recruit Front. Now, this should be, if the name of the person that you're putting here, should be a very strong consideration. This is somebody that you want to hire, that they didn't go through Recruit Front. You see their application, you're interested in them, you want them to apply. This is where you would go. You would go to your tracker reviewer and you would click on Carolyn's name. Carolyn is part of HR, so you're under tracker reviewer, and you're going to send her an email. And the email is very simple. It defaults right here, and you'll just put in Jennifer Lean, and you'll put in her email. Okay, and you'll put in reviewer, and you'll create notification. And what will happen is Carolyn will receive the notification that you want her to send Jennifer Lean, or the candidate that you want, a notification for them to register. So I'll review that once more. Let me review it via the PowerPoint. So what we discussed, the responsibility for the department is to create that vacancy request form. The vacancy request form gets approved. The job posting goes into Recruit Front, and it also goes into OLAS. Then you wait. You wait to receive an email from Carolyn. If she has people that applied on OLAS, she'll send you in a PDF in an email all the applications for the people that applied. Okay, and the email, you don't do anything, you just wait. You'll get an email that says, hey, Danielle Hudak, this is the OLAS applications for this particular tracker and this particular job posting. You'll download it, you'll review it. If you find somebody that is a strong hire, you want to hire that person, then we ask you to go into the tracker and go into Tracker Reviewer tab and just email Carolyn. You'll click, because Carolyn is a reviewer on all the trackers. You'll click here, click send notification, send her the name, and create the notification. What that does is Carolyn knows that you want to send it to that person. She'll send that email for that person to register. And then she'll add that person to the tracker. All right, I'm going to stop there. Are there any questions on that? Good. So why we did that is because we received feedback that there were people on OLAS that you wanted to hire that didn't apply in Recruit Front. Okay. Now we're going to get on to something that's important. We're going to discuss with you how to hire somebody. All right. And let me go back in to my site. Once again, go to Home, Items Requiring Your Attention. You'll select Process. You'll see your tracker. You'll click on the tracker. Now the tracker, once again, I'll use the same analogy, is your suitcase of all of your candidates that have applied. I can click this little up arrow and I'll see all of the candidates that have applied for the position. Okay, remember this is my test. So I have this test saint. This was somebody from OLAS that we sent an email to Carolyn for them to register. This person actually went on to Recruit Front, created an application, and then Carolyn added them to the tracker. Now that you have both of these people, now let me go back. Just want to reiterate, Home, you have trackers that you're responsible for. You might have one tracker, you might have 10 trackers. Remember, trackers are just the suitcase that's holding the information for the people that are applying for the job. So I'm going to click on Process. And here are all of the trackers that I have. I'm going to go into the one that's a fake one. And when I do that, it opens up some tabs. Let's review the tabs. The one that you're going to be spending time in is the Tracker Candidates tab. The Tracker Reviewer tab is everybody that gets to see the candidates, all right? So Carolyn gets to see the candidates because she's in HR and she's making the tracker. And we put her in there so that you can send her an email, okay? So this would be the Tracker Reviewer would be any administrator that has access, or you could have your support staff in there too, to look at your candidates. The beauty of the tracker is that you have the ability to click here and you can do a PDF application of all the applications. You can do a generate document group, which would allow you to not only get their application, you can get all the applicants' documents, or you can just do cover letter and resume. You can do question sets. So we have all different options of what items that you can have generated. Sometimes people just go in here and go to generate document groups, and maybe they just want to see the cover letter and resume. So they'll come in and they'll pick cover letter and resume. And if you had 10 candidates on there, you would be able to see all 10 of that information. Okay. Just so that you know too, if you go into an actual candidate, you can go into an actual candidate by going on to the magnifying glass. You can find out a lot of information on this person. You can find out applicant files. You can find out references right here. We tab it. So what happens is everything that appears on the application, we take a little snippets and we put it into a tab format. So you can look and see anything that you have there. Okay. Just giving you an idea. All right. I'm going to go back in. All right. I'm back in the tracker. I clicked on the magnifying glass. I'm going into my candidates. I looked at their applications. I looked at everything. I want to hire this person, Test Saint Demo. How do I hire somebody? Now, remember, I said the word hire in BOCES terminology is basically the department. You're clicking hire, but in your terminology, what you're doing here is you're pre-hiring. You are telling HR that you want this person to be background checked, and you are, when you click hire, you are sending the background check form and the login and fingerprint information to the candidate. That you are not officially hiring them. It tells them on their notification that this is a pre-hire process. It's all depending upon the background check, fingerprint clearance. So all you're doing when you're clicking hire at the department level is doing a pre-hire process. You're informing HR that you want this person to have a background check, but you're saving steps because you're sending the candidate the background check form and fingerprint information so you can get off and running. So when I click hire, what will happen is it will have the job posting and the profile. All right. Then you can click initiate selected task profile. You need to click this because this will generate the forms to go to the employee. Okay. And the forms that are going to the employee in this go around are a background check form that they fill out, like where they live for the past 7 years, a fingerprint notice, an affidavit that they sign that it's okay to look at their information. And then they also get an email on how to log on to the system. So that's all this is doing. But how you do that, once again, let me just go back, is you go into your tracker candidates tab. The person that you want to hire, you click on the magnifying glass. You click the word hire, and you're going to click initiate selected profile. All right. I'm going to go into one that's actual live. I'm not going to hire the person, but I want to show you something else. Let me go into an academic teacher. This is nice because if you notice here on the tracker, they're using the tracker very nicely here. You know what's going on. Do not hold, required, does not hold. I'm able to see who holds, who doesn't hold. So this is nice. Somebody's using the status, the candidate status in a great way in this one. But let me go in, let me find another one here that I can go into. So just to, let's do this one. Okay, so let's say, all right, this person holds a CTE certification. I want to hire this person. I click here. Now you might say, Jennifer, don't hire because you don't want to say, it's not, if you click here, it's not doing anything yet. Okay, this is the step. But this is what I wanted you to look at. Review the job posting, right? So this is for this position. And what profile should it get? Now, Carolyn's going to put on the right profile, but we just want you to check. So the reason why I bring this up is just give this a quick check. So if this was for, let's say, a CTE teacher instructor, and then this said something to do with a bus driver profile or something of that nature, and it's not the right profile, you just need to let us, this sounds like this profile matches PT instructional, PT instructional. So they're going to get all the paperwork for an instructional part-time employee. So we just ask, and if you have a question, you can ask Carolyn. It's just take a quick look that the job title kind of matches the profile. All right. If it's totally something totally different that wouldn't match, If it's instructional and this profile says civil service, then there's something wrong. All right. So just take a look at that. You'll click initiate selected profile. You'll click hire. And then you'll click save. I'm not doing that because I do not want to hire this person right now. So this is in here, how to click the hire button. And then the beauty of this is the background check will clear, hopefully on the applicant. Once that's done, you step back, okay? And the HR department will send you an email automatically. So no calling. Did the background check clear? Did the background? You'll know because you'll get an automatic email. And then the email will tell you that you'll be getting an appointment notice. You'll get an email when the appointment notice is ready, and the appointment notice will be in the hiring administrator's items requiring attention, and the support staff that was put on the vacancy request will have it under items requiring their attention. So the appointment notice will be waiting in the queue for the hiring administrator and the support staff that was listed on the vacancy request. It will be waiting for them. You'll receive an email and you can fill out your information on the appointment notice. Okay, the appointment notice follows similar to the vacancy request, and it will follow a routing procedure. Okay, so let me just review. What is your role as a department person? Your major role is you start the process, because there's no way of HR knowing to start a process if they don't have your request for the vacancy. The key to the request for the vacancy is that you only select one person's name, and that person is the hiring administrator. The hiring administrator should be the only person signing at level 1. If you don't see the person, if you're the support staff and you don't see the person in the active employee, then you need to contact HR. So if I'm a support staff in a certain department and I'm supposed to be filling it out for my new administrator and I don't see them there, then you just contact HR. They'll add that administrator to your active employees. We ask that you fill in the 3 new required fields that are at the top. One is budgetary code, one is department, and the other is who will be filling out the appointment notice. We did that to streamline the process so that we can send the appointment notice right to the person to fill it out once the background check is cleared. In the tracker, the only role that you'll be doing is you'll be looking at who replied in Recruit Front, but Carolyn will be sending you the OLAS information. If you find somebody that you're interested in and you want to hire, if they applied through OLAS, let Carolyn know. You go into the tracker, you pick Carolyn's name under Tracker Reviewer, you send her an email. Carolyn will send that applicant an email to tell them to go and apply through Recruit Front. They'll be put on Recruit Front, and then you'll click the hire button, which is the pre-hire button. And what that does and only does is send the applicant information on fingerprinting, the background check form, and it officially and defines, it says you are not hired. This is a pre-hire process. This is all depending upon your fingerprint clearance. Then what will happen is that you will get a background check email that it cleared. If it does clear, hopefully it will. And then once that happens, automatically you'll get an email that says, hey, there's an appointment notice ready for you to fill out. And then once you've done the appointment notice, you step back in the department role. Your role in the department is over. What happens now, HR will gather all of the forms and make sure the forms are done. Now, I know this process sometimes is a little different. I know it's different for the summer because I believe summer is in charge, their department, because you gather people, you do a lot of hiring in a certain amount of time and you gather the forms. So we do have a process for that department. And I know the substitute services for BOCES, they have their process too. But this overall is the process for recruiting and hiring. And the question that was asked was in the previous was how to do civil service. We will get back to that on onboarding based off of a list. We do have a civil service management tool that can help, but we're getting to that at a different point. All right. So this is how you would handle your vacancy requests and how to send that person the beginning forms and then how to do the appointment notice. I'll take any questions at this point. Good. Carolyn, anything coming in the chat?
I I think everything in the chat was addressed.
All right, great. Well, thank you, everybody. We will send this PowerPoint. Oh, got a question?
Yep, one question. Lori Connolly, what triggers the interview?
What triggers the interview? Okay, great question. Well, you could, if you would like, we can discuss with HR, we can have an email that allows you to put in an interview time slot. We can set up a blank interview form that allows them to pick an interview time if you wanted to do that. You know, so that's an option, but we don't have that right now. If that's something that you would like, we can either have a form where the candidate picks a choice of slots that you have, or we can just send them an email for them to call.
Thank you, Jen.
Okay, and there's also the ability to do the reference checks. There's a reference check form via the tracker. So if you have to make those telephone calls, there's a form right within the tracker that you can do it from. So everything's all in one. As I said, we're revisiting this again. We started this in the midst of COVID, and then there was some changes in HR. So we kind of revamped a little bit, and hopefully we'll get off running. Everything's set up. So, we really want to try to streamline the process for you and make it easier for you, not harder. All right. Well, thank you, everybody, for attending. Enjoy your weekend. And if I don't see you, have a wonderful, happy, healthy holiday.
Thank you, Jennifer.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Goodbye,
everyone.
everybody.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Bye, thank you.
Thanks, Jen. Good
I'll
to
see you. I'll see you Wednesday.
Oh, great. Okay, good. Thank you so much. Oh, yeah, I did get that. Thank you. I'm like, for what?
Thanks, Jen. I'll probably be in touch with you soon too.
Good
Okay,
to
no
see
problem.
you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks, Jen.